All right, good evening. Today is Monday, January 12th, 6:30 p.m. The meeting will come to order for the Cunningham Township Board. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Wu.
Here.
Trustee Evans.
Here.
Trustee Hersey. Trustee Colasetti.
Here.
Trustee Bishop. Trustee Wilkin.
Here.
Trustee Quisenberry.
Here.
Mayor Williams.
Here.
Supervisor Chenoweth.
Present.
Assessor Owana. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have quorum, we can move on. The next item is approval of the minutes for October 13th, 2025, as well as November 10th, 2025 public hearing minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
All right, moved by Mary Alice, seconded by Grace. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Same sign? All right. Minutes stand approved. Thank you. All right. Are there any proposed additions or changes to the agenda?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
I would like for discussion purposes only for us to discuss as the town board the city council agenda item, which is a grant to the Cunningham Township of $37,000 for the purposes of supporting winter emergency shelter. And that again would be a discussion only item added to the agenda.
So I would recommend you add it after the business, especially since it is discussion. That way we have time for questions and we've gotten all of the action items done, especially since we do have a guest representative here tonight to present on the financial report.
We will now move on to bills and Supervisor Chenoweth.
Good evening and Happy New Year. So the town bills report is for November of 2025. As I explained at the last meeting, because we are running close to $500,000 in receipts per month, we're going to be reporting, and we're meeting the second Tuesday, which means our bills are actually due like the first week of the month. We're going to be reporting on the month prior to the month that we're in, 2 months prior, essentially. So if we're meeting at the beginning of January, we'll be reporting on November. So today's town bills, or November 2025 town bills, the town fund had $75,525.40 in expenditures. From the general assistance fund, we had $420,337.97. Our total expenditures for the month of November were $497,863.37. You have the town bills before you, and I'm happy to answer any questions about those bills.
Thank you, Supervisor. Are there any questions? All right.
Okay, did you want to take a motion for the bills and then take the reports of officers?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I thought you still had general assistance. My bad. All right. So at this time, we'll take a motion or entertain a motion.
I'll move approval, or do we put the bills on file?
You approve the bills.
Okay, I'll move approval.
Well, second.
Moved by Mary Alice, second by Grace. Any discussion or questions? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. All opposed? All right. Motion passes. Thank you. All right. We will now have reports of officers, which we have a presentation of the FY 2025 audit. Supervisor Chenoweth, the floor is yours again.
Yes, so we have our auditor with us today, who is also the auditor for the city, so you'll get 2 presentations this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. If you could just introduce yourself, and we will go over the audit this year, this past fiscal year. We did have a clean audit. We're very happy to continue to work with the auditing firm to basically look over our books. And with this, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you. We good? Perfect. My name is Jamie Wilkie. I'm the audit partner on both the township engagement as well as the city engagement, so I apologize. You'll have to listen to me twice this evening. But I do want to start by thanking the team involved. We had a very clean audit process. Again, this would be for the June 30th fiscal year that we're highlighting this evening. We actually had no material adjusting journal entries for the township, so truly a clean audit process. I will provide just a few page number references that correlate to the PDF of the agenda. So if you would like to kind of follow along, we'll point out a couple of the key sections of the document this evening. We'll start on page 22 of that PDF of the agenda, which provides a letter related to the audit. This is what we call our SAS 114 letter. The SAS 114 letter is required communication each year from your auditing firm to those charged with governance. In there, you'll see a variety of topics highlighted, things such as disagreements with management, use of specialists, a variety of kind of conversations related to the audit. This is really standard language, meaning we're only reporting exceptions. So if we had a disagreement with management, if we had to use outside consultants or specialists, that would be indicated in that letter. There are no exceptions that we actually have to report this year, so really standard language, which is exactly what you want each year in that letter. The next document on page 24 provides the required state reporting for grants. So the GATA, as you've probably heard it called, requires kind of a separate in relation to opinion related to grant activity. Just a few pages provided there, really just outlining the dollar amounts and what categories those relate to, either state, local, or federal dollars that are reported each year. Page 26 of that PDF document then will start our management letter. So the management letter is also one of those required communication letters each year with the audit. This is our opportunity to provide the township any recommendations, things like best practices, housekeeping type items, and also new standards that are changing in the future, so you're aware of those kind of coming down the pipeline. This year, we did have one new recommendation, really a best practice recommendation related to IT awareness. Unfortunately, local governments have really become victim to some of the cybersecurity scams that I'm sure you all get every day. And so we found it to be prudent this year to really draw some additional attention, make sure our boards and councils are really aware of that risk. This is not to say that there was a specific finding, a specific issue of concern. Really, we just feel like at this point with where things are at, we need to make sure that we're constantly having that conversation. So continue to do what you're doing, continue to strengthen where you can from an IT space, and making sure that cybersecurity training and things along those lines are kind of front and center with our governmental agencies. We have also provided an update to last year's comment. I won't go through that in detail. Really, each year we provide kind of the status of any prior recommendations. And then lastly, we have provided 2 new GASB, Governmental Accounting Standards Board, pronouncements. So GASB oversees all of the requirements that kind of flow into your audit each year. They do typically issue new statements or pronouncements on an annual basis. So we do have a couple coming down the line. These are much less labor intensive than what we've seen probably over the last 5 years or so. We will be working with the staff internally to make sure, obviously, that those are properly implemented. So happy to go into them in detail. I actually don't envision either of them having significant influence or impact on the township itself. And then if we flip to page 31 of your agenda packet, that's where we actually start the audit document. So each year, state statute does require that we undertake an independent audit with you all. The goal of that is obviously the issuance of a clean audit opinion. The opinion itself, you'll find on page 35 of the agenda packet. We have issued what we call an unmodified or clean opinion. So as Danielle indicated, that's the goal each year, and certainly what you earned from our audit firm for the audit for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025. You'll see within that discussion in the opinion things related to management's responsibilities, the auditor's responsibilities, as well as some internal control related discussion. So we are opining on the financial results, meaning we are stating that the financial statements are materially correct. As part of that process each year during the audit, we are also required to take a look at the overall internal control environment. So state statute does not require we actually opine on internal controls. We review the overall environment, look at policies, procedures, workflow, things like segregation of duties, kind of the dotting of I's and crossing of T's. Certainly if there were any areas of concern, red flags, or exceptions to that internal control testing, we would have to have that conversation tonight. And we're happy to report we did not have any internal control related findings whatsoever. So when we talk about audit opinion, it's not just the clean opinion, but also good, sound internal controls. Immediately after the opinion, starting on page 39 and taking you through page 44, you'll find a section labeled Management's Discussion and Analysis, or MD&A. This really serves as the executive summary to the overall audit document. You have nearly, I think, 80 pages in this document. That's a lot to digest. So that section really is intended to be the highlights, the overview, et cetera. I always encourage our boards and councils to spend some detailed time within that part of the audit document. And again, that's pages 39 through 44. I did want to point out, overall, it was a positive operating year for the township. So when we take into account all activity, both in the town fund and the general assistance fund, we take into account capital asset activity, kind of all of the longer term assets or liabilities. The township did have an overall increase to total equity or net position. That was to the tune of about $120,000. That really relates to some of the grant activity. Grants in general were up in comparison to last year's grant revenue. So that's really where we're seeing the driver there. And lastly, I did want to point out, just for historical purposes, page 79 of the document provides 10 years of property tax history as well for the township. So if you're curious what tax rates or assessed values look like over the last 10 years, that's a great kind of summary snapshot on page 79 as well. Certainly happy to stop there. I know I've chatted quite a bit, but we can certainly open it up for any questions or clarifications on the audit results this evening.
First, I'll say thank you. Thank you for presenting the information and the work that you all, put in for us. So we appreciate that as well. Are there any questions? All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right. Stick around for round two.
Yes.
All right. We will now move on to new business. Clerk, if you'd like to explain the approval of the annual meeting calendar.
Sure. So before you guys tonight is the annual meetings calendar. It's in the same format as it has been in prior years. There's been no change to the day of the week or the time of the township meetings or the city council meetings and committee of the whole. We attempted to adjust for holidays where we caught those. Of course, I don't believe there are any second Monday of the month holidays that are going to impact township schedules and have Tuesday dates. But other than that, it's the same. You guys do have to vote to approve it tonight if it is to satisfaction. But yeah.
Thank you. Awesome. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Got a question.
Alright.
This is a very long document. Do you happen to know what page that's on?
So actually, if you're in the Adobe packet that I emailed you, there should be a bookmarks tab,
Okay,
and there
I'm
should
not
be a, that's okay.
Usually I get it online, I click on it, and it takes me there.
Yeah, I don't happen to know the page number off the top of my head, but I know it follows the audit and the supervisor's memo.
Thank you.
101.
101.
I will also add, because we've been sharing page numbers, that the page numbers in the town board version of the packet is going to also include your meeting minutes, which are not on the public version on the website. So there's like plus or minus, I think, 4 pages, depending on which version of the packet you're looking at, which we'll also deal with at the council side, so I apologize.
It's the difference between page 101 and 105 for you guys, right
Have
there.
4 pages.
All right. We'll entertain a motion to approve the calendar.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Moved by Mary Alice, seconded by Grace. Any further discussion? Mary Alice.
I had this question yesterday. Since we basically always cancel the last Monday of the month in December, why is it always on our schedule? Can we just not have it on there? I realize it's not for this one, but I just wanted to know.
So per city code, city council meets on the second and fourth Monday of every month, regardless of with the exception of holidays. And committee of the whole meets on the first and third.
Okay.
And it doesn't make exceptions for when we normally cancel for like summer vacations or winter break. It only makes exceptions for specific holidays.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Any further? All right, seeing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that is approved. Thank you. Next, we have resolution number T 2026-01-00R, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a contract with Home Base Continuum of Service Providers to the Homeless IDHS Collaboration Grant, FY 2026. Supervisor?
Yes, so since we're playing PDF numbers, this one is 101, I believe, on the website version. Nope, sorry, 102. Yeah, 102, 106, okay. So, I had mentioned this to you before, but the Cunningham Township is playing the role of fiscal sponsor for the continuum of service providers, the homeless, to receive what is essentially a kind of an entitlement grant. Every COC is offered a grant based on the size of its COC in the state of Illinois, from the state of Illinois, to help with capacity building and strategic planning. It's part of the governor's initiative to prevent and end homelessness. They have a office to prevent and end homelessness, and we are in close conversation. I was on a webinar today, probably 3 times a week. I'm on webinars with the governor's office around this. I really appreciate the state's emphasis. They're doing, the state of Illinois is really making it a focus. And you may recall when I first came into this position, one of the first things I mentioned 8 years ago is how much I wanted our continuum to have a plan to end homelessness. And I got, not from you all, but I did receive eye rolls around that as though somehow that was an impossible idea. I sent people in the continuum. Oak Park Township led the process of creating a plan to end homelessness in Oak Park. Since then, Springfield has created plans to end homelessness, the state has, et cetera. So now it's, it's something that we can understand may be a possibility. It is very important that we be able to landscape our continuum, that our continuum look at its governance process. It looks how we communicate with the municipalities. I am having a sit down with the city of Champaign after they brought an anti-camping ordinance forward without talking to the continuum. It's very important that you as a body, I think, monthly you hear an earful from me, but to understand the whole continuum and not only Cunningham Township's role in it, right? And what that looks like to be able to do your strategic planning, community development strategic planning. So I have met with the mayor and I have emphasized how important this particular grant is. It's about $80,000, $80,828. You confirmed basically receipt of that in the past, and now this is to hire Home Base, which is the entity that did work with Springfield. We had 10 different providers present submit RFPs. We had 3 finalists. This was the one that unanimously the hiring committee of CSPH, it's made of the executive committee, selected. I did include their entire proposal. I find it interesting. I want, that is on page 103 and beyond. You can kind of see what they are going to be focused on, but we will have 2 community, kind of town hall meetings. They will be here twice. We'll have a series of surveys, which will kick it off with a focus group. We've actually had our first meeting with them, with the continuum as a whole this month. There will be, the focus groups will include stipends for people with lived experience to provide their input. And you can even see, I've included, I know it makes the packet large, but I think it's really important to look at page 137. And then there's another one, these Missoula, Montana's community home houselessness strategy, I think would be something really helpful for the board to look at as a model. Springfield's is also online. And then I think they included one other, let's see, they included Tulsa, Oklahoma as well. So you can look and see the kind and quality of the work that they're doing. I think that this is not something that only impacts the township, but also impacts the city and all the municipalities and partners in the community. So I would really encourage not only for us to move forward with Home Base, but also for the city council and town board to be engaged in the process going into the spring. And I will definitely be sending out announcements of how to get involved. The first opportunity will most likely be here in February. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Supervisor. Are there any questions? All right, seeing, I'm sorry, Grace.
I was wondering if you had a sense of the timeline. I didn't remember if I saw it in there somewhere.
Yeah, so the timeline is on page, it starts in January, and it goes through June. We have to have everything expended as per our grant. By June, the state has indicated that they may continue to do capacity building grants. They're not only doing grants, but they're also doing technical support. So the meeting that I had today was actually a technical support meeting. So essentially, it's a spring semester with the hope that, once we get to the end of the plan, we are looking at implementation, and hopefully we'll have some additional support for that.
Awesome. All right, seeing no further questions, I will entertain a motion.
Move approval of resolution number T-2026-01-001R. Resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a contract with Home Base Continuum of Service Providers to the Homeless IDHS Collaboration Grant FY26.
Second.
Motion made by Board Member Wilkin and seconded by Board Member Mary Alice. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor? Can I do seeing none, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Wu.
Yes.
Trustee Evans.
Yes.
Trustee Colasetti.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkin.
Yes.
Trustee Quisenberry.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that passes. Next, we'll have resolution number T-2026-01-002R, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an MOU with Community Health Partnership of Illinois. Supervisor.
Thank you. This will probably be the first of several. One of our plans for 2026 is to really improve our collaboration with mental health and healthcare providers generally. Allows me to sign a MOU with a Community Health Partnership of Illinois, which is one of the federally funded community clinics. Promise Healthcare is also a federally funded clinic, and I'm also in conversation with them. This group basically has a mobile clinic. They take Medicaid, Medicare, most insurance. They have a sliding scale fee. If we bring somebody to the clinic and they don't have any insurance, we pay $25 for them to be seen, and they're assigned a community navigator to help them get on Medicaid, so we can kind of like at a very low cost immediately start. They have psychiatric services. They have gynecological primary care. They're willing to come to the shelter to provide services on site. And they have a mobile clinic. So we're really talking about, they have child dental, all kinds of things. And they've been expanding those services. So we would like to move forward. We do have an outreach event scheduled for January 26th. This resolution is not required to do that outreach event, but for them to actually start providing the services on site. So the outreach event is just educational only. It's like, this is what we have to offer, who would be interested in, helping to engage. That will be at the Armory, and it will be specifically for persons experiencing homelessness in our programs. But we wanted to kick it off because we're hoping once we have that outreach event, we can start doing some on-site care. We are seeing, I wanted to mention also that they can provide support for people with substance abuse issues, particularly around the medication management needed in those cases. So those were the two key pieces we wanted to bring to the table. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Supervisor. Are there any questions? Grace.
I think so. It seems like a very creative and needed service. And I was trying to understand the logistics. So Cunningham Township would pay for reimbursement. Looks like they'd be invoiced by this organization for the first 100 clients referred by the township. Is that right?
So if the client has Medicaid, we will not be paying anything. If they have Medicare, if they have ACA, we won't pay. The only situation is that first appointment. We've decided to, and I've asked them to waive the fee, and we're discussing, but for the purposes of this standard MOU, we would be liable up to $25 for that first appointment so that we can start the process. And they will invoice us for that. And that's for people who don't have Medicaid. Then the medical navigation to help them get on Medicaid would be free.
And so that's the only expected cost?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so if someone needs tests or follow-up care, I'm most likely going to be looking at patient financial services at Carl, which is what we use currently.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
James?
So I agree, very, very innovative program. Where is the mobile clinic located?
So they have a bus that's located next to where public health is in their new office.
Okay.
Their office is smaller than the office they had in public health, and they do services on location. They are looking for a bigger office, and a lot of the work they're doing is mobile-based. And I do want to mention that Carl's mobile clinic is no longer, as I understand, in Champaign County. It's only in Danville. So they're the only entity that has a mobile clinic that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you.
Mary Alice.
So I don't think that there will be many people who fall into this criteria, but I believe you said that anybody who is on the Affordable Health Care Act had insurance through that, would not be covered through this?
They basically take all forms of insurance. The only time that they would be covered, that we would have to pay, is if they were uninsured. So that would include people who are immigrants who maybe don't have access to health care, as well as folks who have not yet signed up for Medicaid or been kicked off Medicaid, or are in a kind of what I would call the bureaucratic nightmare that can sometimes happen with Medicaid or Medicare.
So my concern with that plan is, and as I said, I don't think a lot of people are going to fall into that bucket. but the amount that they have to reach before the insurance kicks in is around $7,000.
Yeah. Yeah, currently, there's no one who is going to be seen at this outreach event who fits that criteria ever. So we have a survey of what people's, and it's in the supervisor's memo. 2/3 of the folks staying at the shelter have Medicaid, 1/3 are uninsured,
Okay.
or have,
It's
excuse
just
me.
something to keep in mind if you do encounter that case.
Yeah,
Okay.
understood.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move approval for resolution number T 2026-01002R, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an MOU with Community Health Partnership of Illinois.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, motion made by Mary Alice, seconded by Jaya. Any other discussion? Seeing none, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Wu,
Yes.
Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Trustee Colasetti,
Yes.
Trustee Wilkin,
Yes.
Trustee Quisenberry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That motion passes. All right, lastly, we have resolution number T 2026-01-003R, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an MOU with worksite sponsors for Careers in Motion. Supervisor.
Let me turn the microphone on. So I would ask, Bonnie Miller is here in the audience. She is our workforce development coordinator. I also have Dr. David in the audience. She is with University of Illinois with faculty running the Illinois Family Roots. So I just want to acknowledge them in this. And if you have specific questions, they can answer. I've also, you all should feel welcome to add to my statement if you'd like to say a few words about the program. You recall Bonnie gave a presentation about Careers in Motion to you several months back. We are in the process of identifying, we have been identifying what are called host worksites or worksite sponsors. Those worksite sponsors need to have an MOU in place. That MOU is before you. I do want to indicate there's a printed version with a few edits that came from our attorney. That is the version I'd like you to move. I've also sent it digitally to the clerk so that the final will be up on the website. They're not substantive changes, just small modifications. As you will see, I also sent you a version track changes in case you're interested in the differences. I could certainly go over those. What this will allow us to do is to place our Careers in Motion participants, and we will have up to 20 at any given time. We currently, going into the host site process, I believe we were at 14. We have one person who we are retracking to the disability track, and we have 2 participants who have received jobs during this time. So they actually will be graduating early before they're placed at the host site. This will happen. We do have folks moving quickly through, but the rest will continue, and the next step will be for them to interview with host sites. Right now, we are working with the University of Illinois, First Followers, and Cunningham Township, our internal programs. We have a series of conversations kind of for our second round. I'll be speaking with the mayor, the park district, we're speaking with the library. Basically, we're looking for public and nonprofit entities where they may be interested in having a pipeline into entry-level positions from township into their positions. So we're looking for host sites that would be able to provide that oversight and sponsorship. In return, what the host site gets is 20 hours a week paid for by the township. It's paid at a stipend that ends up being minimum wage. It's broken into 2 pieces. There's a stipend that they receive each month, and then there is a portion that they receive at the end as a kind of bonus at the time of graduation from the program. And that bonus is equivalent to $200 per successfully completed month. So for example, if the two who just got a job had actually started at the host site for 3 months, they would have received $600 when they leave because they would have put that time into the host site. So in addition to other support we may offer, rental assistance, et cetera, it kind of helps to launch folks into the next piece with their graduation. So we're very excited about this. We also did review today, had a conversation about the ICEJA grants, the R3 reinvestment grants. We are very well positioned to receive that grant for this work. And so we'll be going towards that to see if we can both relieve some of the burden of the tax levy in terms of the grant and also scale it up, because the number of people who have inquired about this program who appear to qualify definitely outstrips the spots that we have. So until we receive additional grant funding, we will be limited to 20. But I am hoping to see a successful program and for us to be able to grow from that. With that, I would like to offer to Bonnie and Dr. David, if either of you would like to come and speak. You don't have to, but if you'd like to share a little bit about it, feel free. Bonnie's got it. Okay, you're good. Dr. David, if you could come to the table and just push the button on the microphone. I'm excited about all our host sites. I don't want to be partial to one, but I will say that working with the University of Illinois on the Illinois Family Roots Project is very exciting because they're working to ramp up and keep employees over time. So the ideal work site is one where they have opportunities in the future to bring those employees on. They are not required to. But we're really looking for that. So I would also say, as ambassadors of the township, if you are talking with public or nonprofit entities where they would like to have a pipeline of folks where we can really provide 9 months of payment for them to do 20 hours of service a week, which is a great benefit in an internship type role, and then move into employment, that's definitely what we're looking at. So Dr. David, I'll pass it over to you. Thank you so much for the partnership. We really appreciate it.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So I am at the University of Illinois, assistant professor in the Department of Anthropology, Lakeisha David. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit about the work that I had in mind and the perspective from a potential worksite sponsor. And so I want to describe a little bit about the research and the work first. My overall research is the African Kinship Reunion. We focus on genetic genealogy, so a lot of reparative work, helping people, particularly people of African descent, to do genealogy and potentially discover living African relatives. So descendants of families that were separated on the transatlantic slave trade, reuniting using genealogy. And so this has a really big impact, both on the person as well as community, right? And because of this, State Representative Carol Ammons, she eventually did the champion of working to pass House Resolution 453. So that is on the books at the state level, both at the House and Senate, where it urges support for African Americans to be able to do this for free. So right now we are running a pilot program at the university where about 1,600 people will be able to test for free across the state and to receive this benefit. And so with that comes a lot of customer service needs that, me as a researcher, I wouldn't typically need to do. So whereas as a researcher, I could just work in a lab and do my thing, but working with the public, as you know, is a different thing, right? And so what we're hoping to do is train first 2 and then upwards of about 20 people to come in to provide that customer service to people on just an ongoing basis. So what that looks like is that people would would come in, they will receive training on how to do ethical research practices. So there's already like a slide deck and so forth of how to train people, community partners to do research. And then they will learn how to do basic customer service. For those who are interested, they'll also learn how to do basic genealogy. So this is not only helping others to understand their genealogy research, but also giving them the opportunity to do their own genealogy research, which does have a positive psychological impact. So with this, it's also database training, archival training, and these types of things. The hope is that they will then be able to move on to the extra help service at the university, where they could potentially work with other research groups. But ideally, with ongoing grant that I will receive, that they can just stay on with the project and continue to work, because it's a lot. That'll be a lot of work that's needed. And so that's it. I just wanted to share, from that perspective.
And could I just ask a quick question? If you could share, I know that part of it is that there's training and certification that you'll be providing participants. Could you just give a little bit about that certification? Because I think it's a meaningful piece of the host site
Right.
offering.
Right, so to work on any research project, we have to learn how to do ethical research, right? And so that, has a set of rules because of the history of abuses in the research. And so the university is offering it for free, a training for free for community partners. So there's a version for people who are, students at the university, and there's a version for community partners. Both are, just accepted at the university, so they'll have an actual certificate that's issued from the university to say they have completed this training that can be used at any site, including the University of Chicago and so forth. So that's an actual certificate they can carry with them.
Thank you, Dr. David. Good to see you, and I still need to get my kid with you, too. Any other questions? Grace, what you got?
Thank you. I did have one that I think is maybe related to you, Dr. David, maybe before you go too far. I think the program is great. Thank you for sharing all the background on that, and excited to see that there's some long-term potential for employment. And then I was just curious about privacy with that kind of genetic information. Like, does the University of Illinois own and protect that information when it's collected?
Okay, so that is exactly what this training is about. That is the first thing that we need to do to then be able to list them on the IRB protocol. So the Institutional Research Board protocol that says you are allowed to look at, the participants and things like that. Even then, being the steward of that data, hopefully you can hear me, being a steward of that data, they'll still only be able to see basically like a need-to-know basis. They will only be able to see the participants and whatever they need to do to help people, right, with their customer service. So I want to make sure I'm answering your question. There's a bigger question about privacy and security that me as a researcher that I manage. So can you tell me more about what part you're asking about?
It's just generally wondering if this is under ownership and protection within the University of Illinois or a third party, just what there's been issues with the 23andMe and
Right.
selling people's information and using it differently,
Okay.
if this was third party, or where is this housed and protected, that information?
Okay, yes. So I am a genealogist, and I am the one that's doing the analysis. And so I collect the saliva. We do have a partnership with Illumina. They're the one that produced the array to do the DNA extraction and the genotyping. We are not doing that on campus because of just the backlog. Just they can't handle that many samples. So then I get the text data. So we have an agreement with Illumina. Once I get the text data, that is maintained within my databases. So we have me as an I have the data on AWS systems. From that, we follow the HIPAA compliance, as well as cybersecurity rules and things like that. So making sure that all the HIPAA compliant rules are followed. So there's an actual score, a real-time score of those protections, as well as the other scores too. So real-time, this is protected on AWS systems.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Ms. Bonnie, did you have something? Come on up.
I wanted to say something.
Yep, come on up. Come on up. Thank you, Dr. David.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, this program that I helped to develop is very meaningful to me, so I would be remiss if I didn't come up and advocate for my program. But I just wanted to let you all know that my 8 people that are homeless that have now been housed are so grateful and excited about getting ready to work. One of them told me the other day, I can't wait to get up to go take a shower to go to work. So for me to ask that you do sign this MOU to help them go out and search and get their jobs, I would just really appreciate it, and I thank you all so much. And thank you, Danielle, for your knowledge in this, too.
Thank you, Ms. Bonnie. All right, Chris.
Yeah, I had a quick question. Thank you, Dr. David, and thank you, Bonnie, for your service, and you, Danielle. I have a general question, and this is out of the experience with about 5 years ago with First Followers when they were trying to find employers for folks coming out of prison. And my question to you folks is it difficult, are you having difficulty finding host sites to employ folks?
I wouldn't say, I think in some ways our biggest difficulty leading up to this has been the capacity of trying to build the plane as we fly in. We really wanted to make this pivot. We wanted to do it in alignment with the Housing Authority funds for, we've been raring to go on this for a while. And so what we've wanted to do is to work with our existing partners first, because I think the larger challenge is definitely a challenge for people with backgrounds, et cetera, to access the workforce. But the folks that we're working with, the number one thing that they are dealing with is confidence. The number two thing they're dealing with is health. And for those who are homeless, who were experiencing homelessness, you know, that was up there in the top, those top 3. And so we discussed how important it is for us to sit down and have deep conversations. So we sat down with Dr. David and really walked through that piece. I know Solagradia Farms is interested, but not right at the moment because they're in the middle of a big expansion project. So I think with the library, we had a turnover of leadership. So we had started the conversation, and then there's been some turnover, and now Carol Inskeep is retiring. God help us all. And so just I think that has been more the issue with host sites, because we have so many partners who I think are interested in going that mile with us. And the partners that we're working with, we're really trying to be intentional. So with First Followers, the folks that we're looking to place with First Followers, and they will get an opportunity to interview and select, right? So they're not just voluntold, have backgrounds, they have a criminal background. And so the idea is to introduce participants into an ecosystem that's very supportive of them where they stand, right? And so we want to do that similarly with our partners. So for example, were we to work with Courage Connection, and I think we've been having a lot of relationship conversations with our different relationships to kind of figure out where we stand. But, we'd want to potentially place folks who have domestic violence in their history so that they're inside of an ecosystem of support that works. So I would say we haven't had a lot of no's. We've had a lot of maybes. We haven't had a ton of time to have those deep conversations, and we'll continue. And our cohort is small, so we have placement sites at this point for everyone. We're looking at, it ends up that it will be 9 folks that we have for our spring cohort. And we do look forward to sitting down with some of those partners we started the conversations with and see what we can do. So no, I don't think, because we have, the last time I counted 49 partnerships, with the community health partnership, that makes it 50. I don't think we'll have a problem finding partners.
Awesome, thank you. Are there any additional questions? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I will make a motion. I will move resolution number T 2026-01003R, resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an MOU with worksite sponsors for careers in motion.
Awesome. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mary Alice, seconded by Jaya. Is there any additional discussion? All right, seeing none, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Wu,
Yes.
Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Trustee Colasetti,
Yes.
Trustee Wilkin,
Yes.
Trustee Quisenberry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Bonnie, Dr. David, thank you. Congratulations, that motion passes. All right, we will now move on to the added item, a discussion item for questions and conversations with the supervisor in regards to the city providing funding for the winter public emergency shelter. Supervisor, the floor is yours.
On record here. I just wanted to pull it up for the public as well. And I'm gonna pull up the supervisor's memo, for this section about winter shelter. And it's taking a minute. We'll get there. Very large packet and having a big thinking time. Okay, so if we look at lost the supervisor's memo. Hold on. Okay, so it's on page 84. Let's see if I can move to page 84. There we go. Okay. So there's two things I wanted to give you an update on where the public winter emergency shelter stands. And then you have before you a budget, what I'm calling the budget accordion. It's kind of how I build budgets, is I'll think about, here's our base and here's option 1, 2, 3, and I build on. So we are offering 100 cots in safe congregate shelter for men and male identified residents. We're currently open 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. or when wind chill is 20 or below or during severe weather events. Residents must screen in advance. Transport is provided to the shelter from Strides. We counted, excuse me, as I mentioned before, we've counted 76 qualifying adult men before we opened. And that was just the folks we could kind of count at a point in time. And we went ahead and worked with Public Health and Friend and Me, which is our contractor, to produce expanded winter shelter. We opened November 25th ahead of severe weather. Has been the coldest we've had so far for the winters. I think it will be cold again, but I'm very happy we were able to open in time. It's funded through a one-time winter shelter expansion funds. I'm really looking forward to getting away from one-time funds, but that's where we've been for several winters as our kind of ecosystem adjusts to the number of people are actively outside. And you'll see in the memo I mentioned that we have the largest number of folks outside in the country, in the state, and locally. So we are not alone in the problem that we are facing. I also was able to repurpose about $75,000 in our IDHS funding, whether it's ESG funding that was actually in our COC that was not expended, that then was offered to us. So that was new funding to the township, or it was within our ETH grant. And I'm happy to go through all of that. It's kind of, you can see on the income side of the spreadsheet in front of you, you can see some of that. So basically, I reduced hotel units, which are very expensive, to make room for a congregate shelter. That's the short version of the story. There's more details than that. But we provide, as CTSO, oversight, case management, facilities management, grants management, and accounting. And I do want to name that the city of Urbana does fund through the HHI grant, the case management piece during the day for street outreach, and I've applied that case management time to this. So thank you for that. That already has been helpful. And we do, as you'll see, we do have 8 residents who are new to the, came to our shelter without income who now have income. So that case management has been very fruitful. We've also helped with reunification for about a half a dozen folks who were stranded here, who needed to get home. That happens a lot. It's one of the really important needs for emergency shelter is that people become stranded in communities. Let's see. I do want to thank that food and supplies are funded through UC Friends, which are known as the Quakers, Dr. Ann Robbins, AKA Yarn Studios in Champaign, which is a new yarn and fabric store, and then dozens of angel donors who have given. So the funds for the nighttime have generally been secured. And the additional funds are needed to pay for daytime or any date extension. And I say generally, meaning, I have a set amount of funds and the number of people who are staying, it's an art, not a science, budgets. But we have a slight shortage for the nighttime shelter. I do have funding proposals as City of Urbana, City of Champaign, Champaign County, and CUPHD are in progress. And you all are the first. I appreciate you being the lead agency in this conversation. I know that you're considering as the city council, $37,000. I just wanted to name that pays for about 1,400 person hours, which is significant. Thank you. We're eager to add hours to engage with case managers and provide that healthcare support. So for us to have the mobile unit come to the Armory, we have to have folks there for both security and case management to provide. So we don't have that right now. We're trying to add it. I do want to just give an update on where we stand. We have been doing a lot of data collection and data analysis. This is our first pass. We'll also be providing this to the consultant. But we have served 104 individuals, have spent at least one night in Pee-wee's since its opening November 25th. Typically 45 to 55 gentlemen stay per night. They're supported by 3 staff members. So anything over 40 people, and we have to have 3 staff according to the kind of structure that we created. The maximum number in any one night has been 65 as of the time that I wrote this. The men receive a light dinner, meaning we're doing sandwiches, and we do have faith-based groups that have been putting together the sandwiches. We welcome other faith-based groups, but we've basically been prospecting volunteers who can help put together the sandwiches, because I came into the office one day and there was a pile of sandwich making happening, and I was like, no, we're going to get volunteers to do this on top of everything else you do. So we also do hot breakfast, sandwiches, and coffee and drinks. On Thanksgiving and Christmas, we did stay open, and we were able to provide CUPHD approved Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners on location, so that we felt that was important. All residents who don't have them receive annual bus passes, except for our transients. We provide basically bus tokens or 1 month. They have access to showers, limited laundry and storage, although our laundry is about to be installed this week, and so we'll be able to do more. We've been doing most of our laundry off-site, like the bedding has all been off-site. By the end of January, residents will have greater access. Okay, I already said that. So in December, 1 resident was banned for physical altercation. We've had 0 complaints from the neighbors. And I will say, actually, we had an Amazon purchase that was delivered to the neighbor instead of us. And we went and knocked on the door, and we said, hello, we're sorry that you got our delivery for our shelter. And they said, what shelter? And this is the house directly across the street from the entrance to the shelter. Okay. So you can thank my staff when you get a chance, because they have done a lot to make sure that things are in order. It has not been without incident. There are definitely incidents that happen that primarily have to do with mental health and substance abuse issues, which is not the majority of participants. Most people think that the majority of participants suffer from mental health and substance abuse. I will say the majority of participants suffer from some disabling condition, as we'll see. So I wanted to talk about preliminary data because I think it's a really important snapshot of those who need low barrier shelter. And I'm also going to be sending this to the other municipalities. And I'm happy as we get once I get my intern starting on Tuesday, I'll bring charts and graphs and visuals. It's going to be great. But this is what you get for today. So 28% of that 104 men, so that's 29 men, are 55 and up. The age range is 17 to 72. The average is 45. 61% of the men, 64 men, list a disabling condition. 45 of them state a disabled status. So there is the status of being disabled, which is considered a permanent or semi-permanent status, and then there's a condition that is disabling them from being able to work at that time. That's the distinction. So 61%, almost 2/3, have some kind of disabling condition. About a third have 2/3 have Medicaid, about a third don't. And I should say Medicaid or Medicare. 39%, 41 report some form of income upon entrance. That oftentimes surprises people, but it is about 40%. Now, some of that is, and I've broken it down, 14 men have report earned income. The rest receive disability. That's 19 men. 3 get retirement, and 4 are on general assistance. And this is upon entrance. So I mentioned there are also 8 men who have gotten jobs because they have the stability of showers and place to stay. 2 report being a veteran and are being referred to veteran services. We do that referral right away because there's quite a bit of services. I wanted to point out this, and this is for the community. Oftentimes I hear a lot about, well, if we build it, they come. And I will tell you, I think the number one reason politically that I hear that we do not support low barrier or emergency shelter in this community is the fear that they will come. And I would like to put forward a hypothesis, which I think is well substantiated, that the homeless are an internal refugee population. And I will tell you that 25 residents actually exited in the month before we left, we opened. And then we had about 25 enter. So we're constantly, people are churning. And so when Restoration Urban Ministries closed, they reported resettling 25 folks outside of the county. So I just want to point out that piece is that we really are doing this kind of constant displacement, not only for our immigrant population, but also for our citizen population. Okay, so 62%, 65 men have been in Champaign County 2+ years. Of these, 48 of them have 10+ years of residency. So 15 men have been in the county 4 months to 2 years, so also pretty similar to the student population, right? And about 25, interestingly, the exact number that Restoration Urban Ministries told me that they resettled, and I can tell you it's not the same people, arrived in Champaign County of 0 to 3 months. So I actually asked them to break down what they came for. Of those 25 who came to Champaign County between 0 and 3 months, 2 came for employment, 5 came for family in the area, 4 were stranded and looking to go home, and you'll see we've had 10 exits, and we've helped people go home. 1 was fleeing domestic violence, trying to get out of that situation. 3 came for hospital services, 1 for court. Only 2 said they came for shelter. 3 said they needed a change. I will say 3 were dropped off by DCFS workers. Very concerning for them to drop off without notice a youth of 17 years old, 1 of 18, and 1 of 19. We followed up with DCFS. 2 were from St. Louis and 1 from Deerfield, Illinois, for appropriate placement with some success. That is very concerning to me. That is a practice that I'm going to drill into more, especially with Cunningham Children's Home and Strides. I was quite surprised that we were seeing youth dropped off. Of the 28 here for less than a year, 10 have exited the shelter, and 1 of them stayed locally, 6 left town or the state, and I don't have data on the others because they went on their way and did not report back to us. So I just want to put it there that I think this is an interesting snapshot. We'll continue to collect this data. It is based on a needs assessment with simple questions. And I created these questions so that we could answer some of the questions that continue to come up. So I wanted to share that piece. Now I'm going to pivot to the conversation for this evening. The MOU that is before the city council tonight is for $37,000. Here, I'm going to switch my glasses because I'm old and I can't see things. Okay. So, okay, look there, I can see. So at the city council level, and I want to own this piece, Elizabeth Hannon sent me an MOU at the beginning of the year. I do have a friend who's very sick right now, and I'm moving quickly. And I believe the MOU that's before you is the MOU she sent, and I said, that sounds great. I did read it, because I actually read everything, but I missed that it was for daytime only shelter. I was just moving too quickly. So I own that. That is definitely not on city staff in any way, shape, or form. They've been very collaborative and proactive to try to move this quickly as possible. I really appreciate Elizabeth and Darius and the mayor in the work that they've done. That said, the question came up when I responded, with, because I'm also regularly updating the budget to say, well, we're about 14,000 short on income we need for nighttime. If the city could be flexible and make it for nighttime or daytime, that would be great. If you can't, I will go on to the next fundraising and I will ask for that to be nighttime. The other reason I ask, well, let me back up. So you can see before you, here are the expenses. You can see that the total for the shelter for 156 days for an estimated 75, which is a bit more than what we're sheltering right now, that we're estimating $257,000. So about $250,000. What it comes to, that sounds like a large number. What it comes to is $22 per person per day. The least expensive hotel would be $55. Okay, so, and hotels are not always appropriate for a low barrier situation. And per person per month is about $660. So I just wanted to give you that so you could be also kind of looking and seeing what does it cost for the minimum congregate nighttime low barrier shelter. I thought that would be helpful information for all the municipalities. Then you can look at, and some of that is shelter renovations, which is going to be a one-time, but we did need to put in about $11,000 to $12,000 to prepare the space. So the income, you can see where the income comes from, and we've had quite generous donations that have allowed for this. I have not included the city of Urbana income. This is the income for that initial kind of nighttime shelter. So what I put underneath that is option 1, option 2, and date expansion. The reason I did this is because I want to be in conversation with you, City of Champaign, the county, public health. What do we want to do? At minimum, what I'd like us to do is to have limited daytime expansion. 1, because we are already doing it when it's really cold and we don't have that funded. 2 is because we want to be able to provide case management in the mornings. I would like to be able to do our medical, our case management, et cetera, in the mornings. It has the least conflict with the Boys and Girls Club. Primarily, their programming is from 3 to 5, and I'm trying to be respectful of things that they have requested, even though there's been no evidence of there being concerns that they had, right? There's been no incidents whatsoever. So, so looking at kind of the men leaving by 1 o'clock, we do cleanup, we're out by 1:30, so the staff would need to be there till 1:30. And if we do that, we could also that would allow us to provide lunch, because the Daily Bread Soup Kitchen is serving 400 to 500 meals. And when I started this job, they were serving 150. So they are overwhelmed, so anything that we could do to tap off. So that's the first. The second is an or, so it's either or. We could look at full-time daytime expansion, not just the morning. So the morning would be about 90,000. The full daytime expansion would be 150,000. And that is just for us to go through the end of April. And then I wanted to lay out what it would cost, both nighttime only and daytime extended. what it will cost for us to do expansion. So if we were to continue through our end of our occupancy permit, which I would really like us to do, because what I don't want is that at the end of April, everyone is back on the street. So what I want is time to be able to and daytime hours to be able to case manage the men and help them transition into the space. Obviously, there may be some new folks coming in, that's fine, but I think we have a pretty stable population right now that we can work with to do that case management. So I'd really like to be able to continue through the end, and that's why having some nighttime hours minimally, and hopefully like nighttime plus that, at least that early morning case management time would be helpful. So what that would cost is another $61,000. So I hate to do it as a menu as though you're walking into a restaurant to buy, but this is what it costs to do the services. And I want to be really transparent, because I also think that in this community, the municipalities have not understood what it costs, because they've either spent, as I keep hearing, we dropped $7 million on shelter in Champaign, is what I hear from Champaign. And I'm like, yes, and you were spending $5,000 per person per night at the beginning. So I want you to understand what an effective, like what you should be spending and what makes sense if you're, we need to have a model that is trauma informed and well staffed and safe. You do not need 2 external security from Securitas at each men and women's shelter, which is what was requested at the time and pushed those dollars up. We do not have private security on. We have trained case managers who have de-escalation skills. We have very good relationships with the police, and we do make calls as needed, and that is rare, but it does happen. So I'm happy to answer your questions, but I wanted to, partly this is an educational moment to really look at, like, you're going to be looking at how the city of Urbana plays a role in funding shelter going into next year. We do not intend to replace Strides. That's not our intention. But this is what it looks like to fund a shelter like ours. And I would just ask, I think your options when you get to the city council stage is, do you want to expand the language, basically get rid of the words that say daytime? I think you could talk with your attorney and see if that's something you could do tonight. I don't want to speak for them or the staff. Or you could potentially defer, and then we could come back and do it both at township and city. And if I see that you're moving forward with that, I feel comfortable using some angel donor funds and continuing, starting to expand our daytime hours, even if I don't have the cat in the bag, so to speak. So happy to answer any questions you have. I hope this has been informative. I can answer questions about our demographics or the budget, but I think it was an important kind of midpoint for us to take a look at what we have produced.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Sure.
Any questions? Chris?
Thank you, Danielle. And critical is the data collection here, because the mythologies fly around this issue. And while some of the stories are true and real, the data serves to remind us that it's rare and that the majority of homeless are there for reasons other than just being addicted and wanting to loaf around. The data regarding when people come from out of town is critical, because it shows that they're not just coming here to lay about. They are here for reasons, good reasons, and they are needing to get on with their life in some kind of way. My big question, and I understand if you can't answer it at this time, I'm just concerned, what happens after April 30th?
I mean, if we can get funded for some additional expansion days, then we can go until that date of, what did I say? I can't keep dates in my mind. May 23rd. May 23rd is the end of our temporary occupancy. And I think there's two things going. First, there's a new supervisor at the city of Champaign Township, and we are working collaboratively. I'm asking for the same kind of data analysis to see what we could, if we can look at the whole population and start segmenting the population. Because if we have folks who, and I know we do at both shelters, with income, especially Social Security income, I'd like to know and be able to report to the city councils, what if we had housing for every single person on SSI, SSDI? Their income is not going to go up. You know, it's going to remain the same. So the only reason that they may be in shelter is because of barriers to shelter, because of past eviction, because they couldn't afford housing, et cetera. So how do we basically start taking the population and understanding the different needs? People talk about the homeless. I don't even want to use that phrase anymore. It's different, a diverse set of residents experiencing homelessness for different reasons. That's a long mouthful, but that really is what it is. Right? And so do we want to have 2 low barrier shelters? I hope not. I don't think that we should. We're doing that right now because our continuum has gaps and folks are not necessarily moving along. I'll give you an example. One example of many. I looked at the data to see how many folks were moving from Strides to See You at Home, which is supposed to be mid-barrier, right? So you're supposed to go from low barrier to mid-barrier. And in 1 year, I saw 2. So that's a problem. So I looked to see, are we maximizing our tenant-based rental assistance at Courage Connection? Are we maximizing our rapid rehousing at the city of Champaign Township and at Cunningham Township? City of Champaign Township didn't expend all of their rapid rehousing because of a lack of leadership, not because of a lack of trying, I believe. Right? So like looking at where are the stuck parts. And so I want the continuum, this consultant, to help us look at what are all the train cars. I always think of it in terms of a train, right? Like what are all the different train cars and which ones are missing or which ones don't have adequate movement between them, and then which ones are missing funding. So it might be that because we're not funding permanent supportive housing, and in fact, the federal government is trying to close permanent supportive housing, it might be that we have a bunch of folks with disabilities staying in a low barrier shelter for 1.5 years, which we don't want. So we have to be really, kind of have to look at this. I think it is a time where we really have to do a deep dive. And we will need local dollars to fill those gaps, whether it's townships, it's the cities, it's mental health board, it's public health, especially with the federal government where it's at, because they're clawing money away from our communities. So I know the state is trying to step up, but they're also going to deal with the Medicaid disaster and the SNAP disaster, right? So I want the city councils and the county and everyone to be very clear about what the problem is, very data-driven, and very strategic with our money. This is not a time to, we need to really be thinking where we need to be making some investments, and we need the investments to be strategic everywhere, not obviously only in community development, but that is where we're sitting now.
One last question, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
And council, you might have seen the same email, but when is the point in time count going to happen? I think it's later this month.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that all the residents at the Armory Shelter get counted.
Absolutely.
So there's 100 right there, plus Strides.
Yeah.
So right away, we're going to be, and I think last year's number was a record high of 351.
Yes. The point in time count is Thursday, January 22nd. It starts at 6 o'clock. We are still looking for volunteers. It is a really meaningful way to get involved and talk with our neighbors who are unhoused. And so we will have some numbers after that. And yes, everyone in shelter and unsheltered is counted, and we do distinguish between the two. And what we have seen is, increases, but they're not unreasonable amounts of numbers. Like we're talking about some hundreds of people in a county of 250, 300,000, having 300 people outside. That's something we really can do something about. not only outside, but also in shelter. I believe it's, it's reasonable. I think the issue is we have not pulled together very well, and the continuum of service providers to the homeless, and I am now chair, so I am dedicated to making this happen, is helping the community chart a path that we can all get behind to do this, to end the practice of walking downtown and seeing somebody sprawled out on the sidewalk in a town like ours. It does not need to happen here. It should never happen.
Well, as one of the eye rollers who hear you talk like that, coming in here like Joe Namath and we're going to win the Super Bowl, I don't know of any city that's ever solved homelessness, and so I roll. I will say, though,
Could I speak to that,
I
though?
would go. Please go ahead.
So let's look. People forget their history. So there was a time after Vietnam when the largest population of homeless residents were veterans. And the country, the states, the cities, the communities all said, how could we let people in our community who have given so much be on the streets? And so communities across the country, based on strategy, investment, coordinated care, have brought their veteran population of homelessness to almost zero. Champaign County is one of those counties that is close to functional zero for homelessness of veterans. We're very, very close to that. So I don't think it's pie in the sky at all. I think there's actually reasons why we continue to wring our hands and say we can't do something. And it's really an ahistorical understanding of what could be. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but.
So go ahead, Jay, then we can move on.
Yeah, I want to be mindful of time, but I want to say a couple things. First, I'd like to echo I appreciate the data, and unfortunately, that information is important for folks to understand what we're talking about. And I think just to reinforce again, every time we try to do more for folks who are unhoused, there's all this hand-wringing and fear that gets raised, and just remembering, and I appreciate reminding folks, these are members of our community, right? These are folks who are facing barriers, and that it's our responsibility to take steps to address them. Unfortunately, I will not be part of the next budget conversation, but I'm going to just kind of put that out there as both for the town board as we think about priorities, but then certainly for the city council, that people think about, there are funds that have been set aside to benefit our community, and that this should continue to be a priority. The other piece I would just say, as we're looking at that continuum, is bringing up again our lack of adequate number of beds for nursing homes, because certainly for folks on Medicaid, that is a resource that should be available that we do not currently have. So I appreciate your leadership on this, and the data that unfortunately some folks need in order to be able to understand and quite frankly care, right? Because these are just members of our community who need that support and deserve it. So thank you.
Awesome. All right, Grace?
Okay, I do have 3 questions, but hopefully fast and important ones. So the options here are for every day, right? Because I'm trying to put in where the daytime services for below 20-degree wind chill comes in. Is that in this kind of nighttime scenario? And is option 1 for every day, or is that only below 20 degrees?
So currently, but what we did is we came close to fundraising for nighttime only. And then we, when it was under 20 below, we just had to house people so that they wouldn't die or lose fingers. Mm-hmm. So we've been basically funding, running, I would say, over budget on a week-by-week basis. There have been some places where I've been able to pull some things back, and so what you're looking at essentially is nighttime, and then you see daytime expansion, 1 and 2. So luckily we've only had to run daytime, I would say, I just did the invoice, I think it was about 12 to 15 days since we started. So it's not too bad. But as you consider, I would like the flexibility to use the funds to continue through May 23rd, to fill that gap that is nighttime, because I've had to spend some of the IDHS money for daytime. and to at least get us to some partial daytime expansion. Except then when it's cold, we would be open that 8 to 8 period of time. So we'll continue. We're committed to that. I had verbal confirmation from several folks in the wings that if they would pay out of pocket for it if need be. If I did, for that, like it's freezing cold. That's why you'll see a doctor at the table, and they've seen it. They've seen what the effects of frostbite. So.
And then, so for city council, you're asking that we either remove daytime from the resolution and budget either tonight, or you said it's okay if we do need to defer and take a little more time. And if there were extra money in the city budget, is there a reasonable increased amount that would be helpful?
So that's why I gave you the dollars here, is that you can basically see, if we wanted to get to the end of April with limited daytime expansion, then essentially you would be adding the 267,000 to the 90,000. So it's like a mix and match. So you add those two together, that's where we would need to go. You can see that we're $14,000 short, and that amount would be what we would need. And again, I do want to mention that I am going to the city of, I think it needs to be a multi-jurisdictional contribution. I'm not asking Urbana to hold all of the pieces. And there is interest, but you can kind of see what those pieces are. And then, if I could wave my magic wand, essentially we would be open, all the time through May 23rd. That's where I would like to be. And certainly if I had had any kind of lead time in fundraising, I probably would be there before the year started. But we continue to kind of see kind of one-time funds for this. So hopefully we will get to a model that is more sustainable. And like I said, we'll fix some of the things in our continuum so that we understand what pieces we need to fund.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor. Mary Alice.
So Danielle, I'm trying to think about the order of things here, since you are going to be going to some of the other cities. And so right now, according to this, you're about 14,000 off from the nighttime expenses, and then you have those three options, right? 90, 151, and 61,000.
Yeah.
With a different mix and match, so to speak. So I'm wondering if, and please speak to your finances, is this something that we should hold off on until we have more information from other municipalities? Or is this something that, you've got to pay your people and you need the money right now?
So cash flow for the township is not an issue. Obviously, I want to be careful about not committing funds, that are not in the budget. But because of the way this is rolled out, I've been able to, for example, stay open those 12 days when it was cold. I also want to point out that the number of people per night isn't been 75. So there's definitely savings on the food side and supplies, which are the variables. The staffing is not variable and the occupancy is not variable. So I would say I am happy. I leave it at the pleasure of the city council. I know we're going into the city council time. I also know that this is an item that we're kind of taking care of now. So hopefully there won't be too much discussion in the city council. But if you wanted to go forward with 37,000, I think that would be very helpful to bring the other entities to the table. They're already interested. I just would prefer more flexibility. And I apologize again for not catching the daytime word. That would be my preference. And then I'll go to the other entities. Honestly, I'll be clear, I see this as part of my goal to be very transparent is to help the municipalities partner in supporting the operations of shelter. This is an opportunity for us to try it out and do it. And that's why I'm trying to provide all the financial data. It's kind of like a pilot that helps us. So I think it would be very meaningful, given that the city of Champaign has done a lot of the funding of strides, and certainly with ARPA dollars, Urbana did as well. It'd be very meaningful for Urbana to lead on this. But like I said, I'm not starting from jump. I've spoken with other entities, and they are interested, and they're waiting for a proposal from me. So that would be my preference, is to move forward, but I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. We can keep, we're going to keep taking care of people. So,
All right, thank you, Supervisor.
sure.
All right, with no further business before this body, this meeting is adjourned. We'll take a couple of minutes to transition and go right into City Council. Thank you.
I don't want to like wear my mask because it's too hot.
Water fountain, they're in the back
Oh, it's cold.
It's cold. You could put these as like a cold compress, like on the back of your neck.
Oh, that's a good idea. Thank you.
City clerk, there should
I
be,
may also have a hair tie if you want one.
there should be like full medical staff available.
Other than the clerk
I mean, there should be a buffet, I mean, medical staff, I mean, come on.
I actually have hand sanitizer, yeah, in my Stanley bag. My son went back to college. Yep. 100%. And everybody has just traveled and come back together. Yeah, I thought that would help. It's the pulse points.
All right, so my game plan is
Quick, yeah.
Yeah, everyone is. All right. Let's go ahead and get this started. My mic is on now. My bad. Yeah,
UPTV,
it's
we're
on
going to
now.
go ahead and get started. I don't know if you need to like readjust the mics or not, but we're going to go ahead and get started with our city council meeting, Mayor.
Yes. All right. The time, they're all set? All right. Sorry about that. All right. The time is 8 p.m., Monday, January 12th, 2006. Clerk, will you please call the roll for the Urbana City Council?
Councilmember Wu.
here.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Hersey. Councilmember Colasetti.
Here.
Councilmember Bishop. Councilmember Wilkin.
Here.
Councilmember Quisenberry.
Here.
Mayor Williams.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, quorum is present. Thank you. We will move to the approval of previous meeting minutes. I'm so sorry. December 8th, 2025, Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, and December 15th, 2025, Committee of the Whole public hearing meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
Move
I move
approval.
approval.
Jinx.
All right, made by James, seconded by by Jaya. All right, all those in favor, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the ayes have it. All right, that passes. We will move on. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda? Chris?
Changes. I would like to propose that the Committee of the Whole, G, be moved ahead of presentations.
All right, thank you. All right. Is there a motion?
I'll second.
No, second, I'm sorry.
There
All
you
right,
go.
motion made by Chris, seconded by Mary Alice. Any discussion? All those, Grace?
Is that Kay, were we having public input also with that? Is there anything about public input needing to be at the beginning?
It just must occur at the meeting. We can always adjust the items as they appear on the agenda under additions to the agenda, and I will also disclose that there is a member of this body who is feeling ill and needs to go home, so this is why we are doing things slightly out of order.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the ayes have it. We will now move on to the Committee of the Whole. Mary Alice, the floor is yours. Oh, or is that going to?
I'll do it. It's okay.
Okay.
So on behalf of the Committee of the Whole, we have one item on the consent agenda, Resolution Number 2026-01001R, resolution approving an increase in the number of liquor licenses in the Class P designation for the Champagne Pit Stop Incorporated at 1812 North Cunningham Avenue, Urbana, Illinois.
Second.
Consent.
Sorry. Motion made, Mary Alice, seconded by James. Any additional? All right, clerk, we call the roll.
Councilmember Wu,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Colasetti,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin,
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that passes. All right, and can I read this before, or should I just wait until discussion? The change.
You can read it after Mary Alice makes
right.
the motion.
Go for it, Mary Alice.
Okay, next item on the regular agenda, on behalf of the Committee of the Whole, I move Resolution Number 2026-01002R, a resolution approving and authorizing a recipient agreement between the City of Urbana and Cunningham Township Supervisor's Office for daytime staffing for Cunningham Township overnight shelter.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mary Alice, seconded by Grace. Just for the record, I'd like to just read something here for you all. Materials for this item were initially distributed with an incorrect facility name and without a listed address. So those items have been corrected in the council packet to reflect the accurate name, which is the Winter Public Emergency Shelter, and the correct location at 109 East Park Street in Champaign, the Armory Building. In addition, the language in the body of this resolution and in agreement has been updated, and the agreement title has been corrected to reflect the proper shelter name and location. The resolution and budget ordinance titles themselves had not been changed in order to avoid any confusion until these corrections were clearly communicated to the public. So staff is recommending that the resolution title and the budget ordinance title both be amended now to fully align with the corrected resolution, language, and agreement. Mary Alice.
I just want to double check, that does not change the language between daytime and nighttime, right? So we, in addition, need an amendment for that.
That is correct.
Okay, so I will move in one amendment. We update the amount, how the money can be spent from just daytime to daytime and nighttime staffing. And also, we update the address of the place, and there's one other thing. What am I missing? Title, and the title. So that's my amendment.
Second.
All right, motion for the amendment made by Mary Alice, seconded by Jaya. Is there any additional questions? Grace, did you have?
I'm going to throw something out. I think make an amendment, but I think we'll probably take them one at a time, right? But I would like us to consider increasing the amount. We have $3.5 million in surplus in this year's budget, above our minimum policy balance. So I think that increasing it would be something I would like to consider and propose.
James?
I would welcome considering the increasing the amount, but if that's our plan to do that, I would prefer to do that by routing this back through Committee of the Whole and letting the public see the change in the amount rather than doing it on the fly. I'm not against it, and if it gets voted for tonight, I will vote for it. I just think that's a better practice.
Can I ask
Jaya?
a process question? Don't we need to vote, or just on the amendment first, and then we can go back to discussion on the actual amount?
Correct.
Yes, that is my strong preference. That way, if you do elect to forward this to a committee of the whole, we can forward it as amended with the corrected title and address included. It's the cleanest.
All right, so let's go ahead and, clerk, will you call the roll on are we doing this one at a time then?
Yes, so the motion on the floor presently by Councilmember Wu, seconded by Councilmember Colasetti, is to revise the language in Resolution 2026-01002R to reflect daytime and nighttime, both change to include the address in the title and update the title of the shelter to be the correct one.
All right. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilmember Wu,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Colasetti,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin,
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. That amendment passes. So now we will move on to the conversation about the desire to increase the amount. Jaya.
Yeah, so I certainly am very supportive of looking at increasing funding, but I have a couple thoughts on that. One, for timeliness, I believe I heard the supervisor state that moving this along was something that she would recommend at this time, and I would support that rather than sending this back to committee and, figuring out a new amount, that we move forward with the amount that's stated in this item and then consider if we want to add additional funds. I say that for two reasons. One, we know that there's already a deficit, and so helping make sure the township is able to fill that hole quickly, and then also support further expansion efforts. I think it helps show other entities in our region the value and importance of this, and that we as a city are committed. I don't think we have a clear sense of what the remaining hole will be because other municipalities, other government offices have not had an opportunity to provide their contribution as well. So I would like to recommend that we move this item forward with the amount that's stated in this resolution, but then do keep that as an item of just perhaps a further discussion, whether that happens in chambers or whether that happens between the township supervisor and the mayor's office to determine what that additional need might be once we see what the response is from the other potential partners.
Thank you. James?
Yeah, I totally support that approach, and I think it's really important to get other entities to join in to show that there is momentum there, and I think it's totally appropriate for us to revisit the total amount once we learn more about what the hole will be and who else might be coming to help fill it.
Thank you, James. Anyone else? Grace?
I definitely hear those points that we want to move it along and we want to get commitments from others. It looks like that it's about $226,000 as what would be needed to cover the immediate cost for nighttime and if we wanted to have daytime operations through May. So 37, I think, is a pretty small amount there. I do hope other entities will come through. Again, with our $3.5 million sitting there in the budget and all we've just heard, I think that increasing it slightly to go to others to ask for a bigger contribution makes sense. So I would move that we amend to increase the amount to $50,000 because it's a nice whole number, and I don't think that $13,000 in our budget with $3.5 million surplus is going to make a difference. And I think it's maybe a bigger offering chip to go to other entities and get us closer to actually getting to $226,000. So move to amend to increase the amount to $50,000.
Second.
All right. A motion made to amend the amount from $37,000 to $50,000 by Grace, seconded by Chris. Mary Alice, did you have?
Yeah, so I'm actually in support of what Jaya said and not changing what we have right now. It's not to say that I wouldn't be in support of additional funds at a future date when we talk about this, but I think that A, we've talked about this at the committee of the whole, and we've now talked about it at the city council, and B, if us increasing it from 37 to 50,000 is not going to stop anything right now. So they will continue to have resources if we provide the amount that we have today. It's not like they're going to have to close down. So I think that gives us a little bit of lag time for us to figure out what actually is needed after the other entities hopefully contributed.
I like to say I do agree with that. I think it makes more sense for us to stick with the initial ask, considering and this was something that Danielle and I talked about before it was even a conversation. Let's stick with the initial ask. Let's get this going. Get this approved, moved on, then find out what additionally we can do. That's my 2 cents on that. Jaya.
Yeah, I appreciate that suggestion for an increase. quite frankly, I'm just not sure if it's enough of what we should be doing, right? I don't feel comfortable making financial decisions on the fly. So I feel comfortable with this is the proposal that the township supervisor asked of the city. I personally don't want to see this delayed. And it feels arbitrary to just, I mean, yes, 50,000 is a nice round number. But if we don't see the kind of response that we need from the city of Champaign, from the county, et cetera, the city of Urbana might be needing to look at something that's more significant, while also balancing the fact that we have concerns about SNAP benefits. We have concerns about other essentials for our community, which, yes, there are funds that have been put aside for that purpose. But I would advocate for a little bit more of a process rather than just determining an amount without having a conversation about where that number is coming from.
Thank you, Jaya. Is it Grace?
Can I ask where the 37 came from specifically? No, I mean, like that, where that number, the idea of that number came from.
That
like,
was an initial ask, right, for the collective, not one, not any city or municipality in particular. It was just an ask of what was needed. So for me, I stepped up and reached out to Danielle and said that we would be the ones to do it. So I think that we need a vote on the amendment that was made by Grace and then seconded by Chris. So clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wu?
No.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Colasetti?
No.
Councilmember Wilkin?
yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry?
No.
All right. That motion fails. All right, so we are back to the original. I don't know where we are. We're back to the original of the 37,000. So if there are no further questions and or discussions, go ahead, Jaya.
I'm sorry, I feel like a very awkward position because I won't be on council much longer, but I do want to say just strongly that I do support additional funding for housing services for folks who are unhoused. But I do want to reiterate what I just heard from the mayor of that the township supervisor said this is the hole that we need to fill right now, and that the city of Urbana said not we're going to divide this up, but we said we're going to fill that hole. So without knowing what the next priority is and without giving other entities the opportunity to do their part, which I think they definitely should, I want to make sure we're good fiduciaries of the funds that we have available to us. And so I'm going to, just state again that voting no in terms of that increase at this time is not for lack of support of additional funding, but it's for lack of information and knowing what the need is, because other entities have not yet contributed in the way I think that they should.
Thank you. James.
Yeah, I want to echo that, and I also want to say again that I am willing to support more funding for this. I just don't feel comfortable with changing a number like this on the fly without substantial reason of why it's changing to the particular number when we've discussed it at committee of the whole and at council. I think the public deserves a little more opportunity to see what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I welcome that additional proposal coming to us in the future.
Thank you. Grace.
Just want to quickly add that we were given new information today that we were not given in any of the previous discussions, and had a lengthy presentation and discussion on it at Township that we did not have previously either.
And that was to answer a question that was presented last week, just for further clarification. Jaya.
I'll just state again that the township supervisor did just say in our last meeting that she still was asking that we move forward with the amount that she previously recommended. And again, this does not close the opportunity for further funding, but honors the request that she made.
Correct. All right. Seeing no further discussion, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wu?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Colasetti?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin?
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that motion passes. Thank you.
Sorry, the final item on the committee of the whole agenda is was moved for approval. Ordinance number 2026-01001, an ordinance revising the annual budget ordinance, budget amendment number 5, daytime staffing for Cunningham Township overnight shelter.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mary Alice, seconded by Jaya. Any discussion? James.
So this is the part that's been corrected already, so we don't need to change any bit of it to go forward.
You will still actually need to make an amendment to update the address and title, but I don't believe that we need to correct the daytime versus nighttime shelter because I don't believe that appeared in the budget ordinance, but we can also just make the exact same motion we made for the resolution just to be safe if you'd prefer.
Let's just say ditto. Can I say that? I'd like to amend my motion to update the address and update the title. And if there is a mention of only using it for nighttime funds, to replace that with nighttime and daytime funds. Staffing, there we go, sorry.
It's actually other way around as far as the daytime. Yeah.
Okay,
All right. So,
thank you.
No problem. So with that amendment, is there a motion made by Mary Alice to make the amendment? Is there a second?
I'm actually just going to clarify, Mary Alice, were you amending your motion? If
Yes,
so, we
I'm
don't.
gonna amend my motion.
Correct, and the second, Colasetti, you
Second.
accept, so we
Yeah.
do not need to vote up and down on an amendment. That is the motion on the floor to approve with
Awesome.
those changes.
So the motion is approved. The motion, we're needing to vote for that motion. I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. Clerk, will you please call the roll? I was with you.
Councilmember Wu,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Colasetti,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin,
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry,
Yes?
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that motion passes. Thank you. Mary Alice, we hope you feel better. All right, we will now move to presentations and public input. At this time, we will have the annual comprehensive financial report, FY 2025 audit, Loderbach and Ammon, LLP. And
So I'll just-
Elizabeth, hello.
I'll just start this off. As you all know from your last meeting, we have with us Jamie Wilkie, who's a partner with Lauterbach and Ammon and on our audit. So I do want to thank Jamie and her staff who spent many, many hours on our audit, as well as city staff who spent many, many hours on our audit. Also want to mention a couple things. One is we provided a link in the packet, which goes to the page that has the PDF versions. We do have hard copies available, so if any of you would like a hard copy, just email me. We will get that to you. And then a couple things I usually point out just for clarity, because we're used to, when we're talking about finances, focusing on the budget, which is cash basis. The basis of accounting that you're going to see here is different, and that mainly has to do with the timing of when we recognize revenues and expenditures. So numbers will look different for that reason. Also, the way funds are presented in the audit is different. So when you see, for example, general fund in the audit, that's actually a grouping of funds that you would see as separate funds in the budget. So just be aware that presentation is different. So with that, I'll give it to Jamie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again. There we go. We do have it pulled up. I will give a few page number references as we go through. Obviously, a much larger document, a little bit more to digest this evening. I certainly want to start off by thanking the city staff, in particular the finance department. This is a very large engagement. I think you were probably underplaying the hours a little bit, but truly a 6-month process from start to finish with the city staff. Quite a bit of back and forth, requested materials, testing, multiple drafts. So for obviously an audit of this size, there is, quite a bit of coordinated effort. We would not be here tonight without the outstanding staff of the city. So I want to give them kudos in particular for all of their hard work. So thank you. As I said, we'll provide some page number references this evening. So I am going to take you to the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. I did want to point out this award within the city's financial statements. This is another independent review each year of the city's audit. conducted by the Government Finance Officers Association, or GFOA. This award program is really deemed the highest level financial reporting for any local government across the country. There's quite a bit of additional transparency information that is required to receive that award. Again, kudos to the staff because it is a lot of data gathering to make sure that you adhere to the program. So we are happy to report you'll see a copy of the award for last fiscal year. We obviously anticipate receipt of the award for this fiscal year as well. Just after that, you will find the financial section of the audit, and in particular, the independent auditor's report. So similar concept here, where we are looking to opine that the financial statements are materially correct for the city, as well as take a look at the overall internal control environment. So the city did earn what we call an unmodified or clean opinion for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025. As part of that process, we are looking at overall internal control environment as well. So policies, procedures, the dotting of I's, crossing of T's, segregation of duties. We did not have any reportable internal control issues for the city for the fiscal year either. So truly a clean audit. Immediately after the audit opinion, you'll find a section labeled Management's Discussion and Analysis, or MD&A. This really does serve as that executive summary. In particular, you guys are nearly 200 pages of a document. I do this every day. Elizabeth does as well. But even for us, that is a lot to digest. So if you read nothing else in detail in the audit, this is the section to read. So only 12 pages. I promise it's not overly lengthy. I did want to point out just a couple of key items here within the MD&A, as we won't be going into kind of numbers, results, detail. But you'll see that net position did decrease just slightly for the year. When we say just slightly, we're talking minimal percentages for the year. And again, this takes into account cash basis activity plus all of our accrual related activities. So as Elizabeth indicated, a little bit different than the budgetary process, we have to include in that number activity for long-term capital assets, long-term debt, pensions, et cetera. So this is truly an all-in number, a very slight decrease from the prior year. I did also want to point out that there was about $9 million that was added to long-term debt this year. That is the acknowledgement of the issuance of the general obligation bonds that occurred during the year. Conversely to that, I wanted to point out the capital asset section. So we have some added debt, but the other side of that equation is the addition of new capital, which is considered a long-term asset. So you'll actually see that about $20.6 million was added in the form of construction in progress and equipment purchases throughout the city's operations. That includes both governmental activities, so general fund, capital-related funds, as well as business type, which would be any of the city's enterprise fund operations. So in total, a $20.6 million addition to capital assets. Lastly, in the audit report, I do want to point out one of the sections that is required for the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. And that is what we call our statistical section. So this begins on PDF page 157. It's rarely gotten to by most folks in the audit, so certainly want to point it out this evening. But as you peruse through these schedules at the back of the audit document, you're going to find all kinds of 10-year trend history for the city. You'll see these first several schedules provide financial historical information for the last 10 fiscal years. As you continue to peruse through this section, you'll also find detailed 10-year history on things like property taxes. So here's an example here of assessed value over the last 10 years. As you continue through that, you'll find information on long-term debt history, operating indicators, economic statistics, really a wealth of information at the back of the audit. Again, I pointed out because most folks don't get that far, but from a board or council perspective, there really is quite a bit of information that we have included in the back of the document. as part of that Certificate of Achievement Award. Also included in the packet links this evening were the 2 standard communication letters, letters charged to governance. So similar to the township, we have provided a SAS 114 letter. That is the first letter linked in the attachments from Elizabeth. That SAS 114 letter, again, is required to communicate any exceptions to the topics addressed in the letter. So for example, if there was a disagreement with the city staff of what journal entries needed to be posted, that would be a required communication, for example, to you all this evening. We had no exceptions to report, so really standard language within that SAS 114 letter. We have also issued our management letter. We do have 3 recommendations for this fiscal year. The first related to pension funding, so comparing police and fire pension contributions to what the actuary had indicated in their work to be, sent over to the pension funds. We had a bit of a timing issue with county receipts this past year, so part of that goes back to the timing issue, but certainly because you were told to put in X and Y went in, we kind of try to highlight that to make sure there's clear transparency of the Y. Second comment relates to just a couple of funds over budget. Again, that's timing issue. You budget more cash basis, and we do sometimes have cutoff issues with what we're recognizing from an expense perspective when we apply the required accrual basis set of rules. Last comment relates to IT awareness. The township similarly received this comment, just increased awareness. I feel like I could talk about this topic every day. We're all pretty aware of some of the cybersecurity scams and things along those lines. So again, this is not that something was found or identified, but feel like it's such a hot topic right now that it warrants direct conversation within the management letter. We have also provided an update to a prior recommendation. I won't go through that in detail this evening, but there is an update provided there. And then similar to the township, we have the same 2 new GASB pronouncements. So GASB 102 and 103 that we will be working with city staff on implementation. So happy to stop there, open it up for any questions on the audit results or the documents presented this evening.
First off, thank you, Jamie, and thank you, Elizabeth. Are there any questions? James?
So thank you for both the presentations. Yes. My first question is, do you do this for other home rule municipalities in the state of Illinois?
Hundreds of them.
And are you aware of any of them that are also co-terminus with a township that
Yes,
you do that?
We do have.
I'm just curious, those other cities, townships that are coterminous, do any of them share any of their financial reporting activities so that they don't have 2 different groups doing that kind of work? Does some of those townships
accounting
contract with the
functions?
city to do their
I see
finances?
a variety of arrangements out there. So there is probably not one steadfast rule of thumb of how
So
that
there's a
is.
mix?
There's a mix, yeah.
And then, okay, thank you.
Yes.
That helps to know that we're not unique or weird in that
Correct.
circumstance. The other thing I want to ask about is this reporting item on security awareness.
Yes.
It feels like it is just a blanket statement that you're making, and you didn't address whether the city is already doing some of these things.
So
Because the city is doing some of these things.
Correct.
And so why are you letting us know we need to worry about that if we're already doing some of them?
my honest response would be in the current state and what we're seeing, and we have had clients go through cybersecurity issues. So this is a real thing that we have experienced with clients. I think for a lot of folks, the approach is a one and done, unfortunately, meaning, oh, we've put into place multi-factor authentication. That technology, quite frankly, may change or get upgraded in the very near future, because we all know that's how technology works. So part of it is we are trying to keep it at the forefront, because unfortunately the fraudsters are smarter than most of us sitting here in this room. And so the idea isn't to say you aren't doing those things, it's the continual kind of messaging that we are seeing this. Unfortunately, when it comes to technology, local governments do tend to be behind the times, as they say, in comparison to privately held companies. And so part of it is we are seeing it. There is a huge uptick. We've seen clients go through some disastrous scenarios and just felt that it was important enough to warrant the conversation, to be at the forefront. To literally have this conversation now is my exact, yes.
Yeah, let me ask
Yeah.
this question a different way.
Sure.
Does your company do proactive auditing of these government entities specifically for their IT practices?
That is not necessarily one of our specialties. So we are required to look at that overall IT environment as part of the financial statement audit, but obviously the focus of the financial statement audit is on the finances, not necessarily the IT environment. There are certainly firms out there that those are their niches and specialties.
So you're providing general guidance, but you can't provide a specific guidance in that area?
Like stress testing your system, that would be something outside of our scope.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Does that answer?
Yeah, that
perfect.
helps me figure out
Okay.
where we're at
Yeah.
with this particular recommendation, because it feels like, to me, that we should be having a third party assessing our security infrastructure. And this is just one dimension of that, because there are other
Yeah,
things that we
absolutely.
have to
Yes,
protect
absolutely.
for.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure where we're at currently with that. And so that's something we can follow up on. I just wanted to make sure, one, that you guys don't do that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
two, you
I
weren't
could help
trying
you
to,
find the
you
right
weren't trying to
folks to do
sell
it.
that
Yeah.
service to
Nope,
us on the side.
absolutely not. No,
Okay.
no.
Thank you.
Nope. I will tell you, we do have some governments who are stress testing their systems. They, it's the idea of see if the hacker can get in kind of concept. So, I think as folks have experienced something of significance, an event, et cetera, I think folks maybe in the government space will start considering that a little further. So, yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other questions, thank you both. Chris?
And I think I already know the answer, but what represents the $20 million of new capital assets?
So most of that is construction in progress of ongoing projects that are happening, meaning they're in construction phase. We haven't yet started depreciating those assets. So there's a variety of projects that make up that full 20 million. The other piece of it is equipment replacement. So many governments, because of backlog of vehicles, equipment, et cetera, we are seeing a significant portion of things finally happening where items are now available and those acquisitions are taking place. So I don't know if you've got a better answer on that piece, but ongoing projects that are being spent on.
Yeah, that's correct. We track, when she says construction in progress, they would be partially completed construction projects at the end of the fiscal year.
And that's mostly roads, would it be, Elizabeth? Or
I would have to look at all the details to be certain about that, but probably largely.
I mean, I recognize the $9.5 million debt service
Yep.
being the fire stations. That looks like the $9 million
Correct.
loan we took out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
But then the $20 million new assessment value of capital project, you're saying is all these construction projects?
Correct. So some of it is roads, some of it would obviously be related to the bond issuance that took place during the year.
Yeah.
And then we've got a pretty sizable equipment acquisition. There was $3 million put into new buildings and improvements, infrastructure of almost $7 million, and then construction in progress.
And that's in the document here? I can
Yeah, so you
find
can
that
look at
stuff?
the capital asset detail on pages 64 and 65 of the hardbound, but let me get you,
Okay.
let's see if we can get close here. Oh, I got really close. Score. So page 70 and 71 of the PDF document will show you the detail of all of those capital assets.
And Elizabeth, you said we could get a hard copy if we email you,
Yep, absolutely.
and can I just come to your office and pick it up? Is that, oh, we'll work it.
Well, actually, if the meeting wraps up quickly, I'll get it to you before we leave tonight.
Oh, super.
Because they're here in this building.
Oh, great, thank you.
Jay.
I just want to express my appreciation. You know, as has already been stated, this is an incredible amount of work both for city staff and for our auditors, and just appreciate all the work that has gone into making sure that we are consistently meeting that high standard, and then also just, you know, recognizing, yeah, it's 182 pages, right, that our auditors have had to prepare for us. So I just want to express my appreciation to both of you and the teams that worked with you.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this evening.
Of course. All right, we will now move to public input. Seeing no one in the audience, I have one letter to read. Says, please read my comments alone into public record during the meeting. Hello, Mayor Williams and Urbana alderpersons. My name is Derek Browse, and I am a resident of Urbana Ward 4. I am writing to provide my full support for the ordinance. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I am writing to provide my full support for the ordinances that would provide funding for daytime staffing and the overnight shelter. I unequivocally support the township's goal of establishing housing as human right, and I believe that the most important function any level of government has is to ensure adequate housing, nutrition, and health care for all of its citizens. I think we can all agree that we have a serious housing issue in Champaign County, and that it is likely to worsen as the economy struggles and uncertainty grows. I urge all council members to vote in favor of the ordinance and to endeavor to ensure the city of Urbana does everything within its power to protect the most vulnerable among us. Thank you for your time and attention. Is there any other? None? All right. We will now move on to council input and communication. Council members, the floor is yours. Jaya.
I just have one brief thing to say that often stands out to me, but as we were reviewing the audit, the chart for the organizational chart for the city is listed in there. And I just want to reiterate again that it does say the people of Urbana. So often we fall into saying citizens. And I think now more than ever, it is really important that we be mindful of our language, that we are excluding a lot of our residents when we only use the term citizen. Maybe this is being the child of an immigrant who wasn't a citizen for most of my childhood, but just recognizing that we are sending a message when we always only say citizen, and that we should be thinking about serving all of our residents, whether they are citizens or not, that they are all residents of Urbana, and that all of the people of the Urbana are at the top of our organizational chart.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? All right. We will now hear reports of standing committee, which seeing none, we will move on. We did that already. All right. Yeah, no reports. All right. Now we'll move to reports of officers. Darius.
I just want to provide a update to council and the public with a brief update on the future ward vacancy and the process moving forward. Councilmember Colosetti's resignation becomes effective February 2nd, 2026. By state law, the mayor has up to 60 days from that date to bring forward any recommendations with a deadline of April 3rd. Council then has 30 days to act once a recommendation is made with the deadline of May 3rd. The city has opened up the application process on Friday, January 9th. Information was released through a city press release and is posted on the city's website. Applications are available online as well in paper form at the city clerk's office and the Urbana Free Library. Applications are due 5 p.m. on Friday, January 30th. We anticipate interviews taking place during the first 2 weeks of February, with the mayor planning to bring recommendations to council soon after. The appointment will fill the Ward 4 seat through the 2027 general municipal election. So just wanted to provide the information, and we'll continue to keep you all updated as we move through that process.
Thank you, Administrator White. James?
Do you happen to have the qualifications handy there?
I do not, just offhand, I would like to say a resident of Ward 4 for a year. The individual must be eligible to vote in municipal government, as well as cannot be a convicted felon. And I feel like I'm missing one more. Would you happen to know that, Darcy?
Can't have
I do.
a balance on city taxes.
You can't have any debt to the jurisdiction via taxes.
Thank you.
No recycling fee due, things like that?
Correct. No sanitary sewer fee, no recycling fee, no outstanding rental registration if you're a landlord, any city debt, basically.
Grace?
I thought we had some talks about that being somewhat of a public process for like the people who were interviewing. Is that still the case, or it sounds like this is,
So in the past, oh, sorry, excuse me. So the recommendations that the mayor will bring will be what we hope is multiple people to deliver a message to council, to have information for you all to deliberate on and to provide a recommendation. So, yes.
Thank you. I would have a friendly request if we could at least know who the applicants were. I think not required, but I would just appreciate in a friendly request if we could know who has the full list of who has applied.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you. Thank you, Administrator White, again, for providing that information. We have no new business for the body, so lastly, we have a mayoral appointment to the Sustainability Advisory Commission, Mackenzie Marty, with the term ending June 30th, 2028. Marty said, from an extremely young age, I have been interested in sustainability and environmentalism. I have pursued degrees and a career in the environmental science field, and over the last 10 years have implemented many personal changes to lead a more sustainable life. I feel it's time to expand my efforts beyond myself and get more involved in helping to make my town more sustainable so that the current and future residents can live their best possible lives. So at this time, I will entertain a motion for Mackenzie Marty. James?
I move approval.
I'll second.
All right. Made by James, seconded by Jaya. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Colasetti?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin?
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that passes. Congratulations, Mackenzie, and I look forward to serving alongside you as well. With no further business before this body, this meeting is adjourned. You all have a safe night. Thank you.